Welcome back to the Snubby J Blue Man Group Tour. We're gonna head downstairs to Blue Man Group's music studio and meet Jeff and Andrew. They're gonna give Kent a little hands-on action with our newest instruments. Come on!
Jeff, Andrew.
Oh, hey,
guys.
man. Hey. Nice to meet you. I'm Jeff.
Jeff.
Hey, how you doing? Andrew.
Andrew,
Nice to meet
pleasure.
you.
Thank you so much for meeting up today.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
So did Bill scare you?
Quite the opposite. We had not enough time to talk about everything we wanted to. I'm bummed, but I'm also then super excited to see what else there's in this place.
Yeah.
Got a lot more.
Once he builds it, we break it. So
Break it?
yeah, it comes on in here.
All right. Thanks, Bill.
So this is the live room of our recording studio.
This is where you record like all of your music.
Yeah, this is it.
Oh my gosh.
Everything
Big
that we
drum.
record pretty much happens in this room.
I feel like I only recognize like half of the things in here. There's so many new instruments you guys have been creating. I've seen videos of this. What is this called?
We call this the spinulum.
Spinulum.
So try that.
I see it's all color coordinated though too. Is there any association or?
It's similar to a guitar neck, you know, some dots just for reference, and they repeat in color so that you know when you're in a higher octave.
Right.
But in a normal Blue Man way, it's colorful and weird and sort of mysterious.
Oh, yeah, guys. This is so cool. The spinulum.
Satisfying, right? The way these instruments come about, it's always coming from a different place. I don't think there's ever two instruments that were designed for the same reason or from the same from the original purpose. And we were trying to figure out how to have a low, droning sounding instrument that occupied the same space but was different and unique. So we talked about it. We talked with Bill about it. I gave Bill a bunch of samples of the sort of sound and the sort of notes that we were looking for. He then went, and him and Aaron Sanchez went away somewhere far away in their brains and worlds, and then they came back with this amazing, unique piece of instrument.
So this ended up being a different concept. Instead of zip ties striking the strings, and in this case we only have one string, it's literally just rubbing the plexiglass wheel right on it. That's like kind of the concept of a hurdy-gurdy in some ways.
Okay, yes.
So what we do with this is really clever. You slide it in here, and there's this mechanism here that kind of uses like some bicycle mechanics here. You know, this isn't spinning at the same speed as this, which as you can see, this is spinning even slower. And this is a prototype, so it might get dressed up a little differently, or we might leave it the same. But you can see it's still a simple design.
Have you recorded anything with this yet?
Not
Is
yet.
it still like a baby thing you're experimenting with?
Exactly, still in the prototype zone.
Oh my gosh. So, okay, so it's really just like...
Yeah, that's it. We've only got 3 magnets in so far.
That's so great though. Guys, you have no idea how much this all means to me. Not only as like a longtime fan, but also as like a instrument creator and just creative of sorts. Because it's, again, I was telling Bill, like I don't get to relate to many people in this like very specific niche kind of like field to actually bring this together and like meet you guys and like,
great.
Nerd out over this. It's like a whole nother level for me right now.
Oh, that's great. That's
awesome.
good to hear.
Yeah.
Just so you know, too, for all of these things that work, there's like at least 100 versions that don't. So in terms of our process,
it's wonderful.
These are some of the victories, but we have glorious fails everywhere as well.
Well, I want to learn more about like the songwriting process too, and I heard there's some cool stuff in like the studio.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go into the
Come into the control room.
The control room.
And this is the control room.
Oh my gosh.
This is the brain center of our recording studio here. The console we call the Time Traveler, and parts of the console were here when we first moved in. It was in an old 8068 frame. What we basically have is the flexibility to have all of the sounds from the 60s and 70s modules, all the front end of a very clean modern console, so we can switch back and forth. So this is a one of a kind.
It's like old school and new school just like fused together in the most beautiful way. Well, I'm seeing like labeled out here. You've got everything from like kit to like the bass and then sticks in there, and like everything has like multiple of these things. Can you show me what's
absolutely.
happening here?
Yeah, absolutely. Considering some of the instruments that we were looking at out there, this is basically a stemmed out version of the original song.
And this was just like through experimentation, really? And you're just like, oh, I like this? Or what kind of, was there a sense of like for Hexsuit's rhythm first and then you were adding these sounds, or was like these like warbly sounds like the inspiration for this, or?
Well, it's funny, I mean, that particular piece, it has a name that isn't really tied to what it was originally intended for. The Hexsuit refers to a video suit that the Blue Men would wear. And we call it hexes because the little LED panels were hex shaped. But I wanted it to be, you know, like imagery that was like integrated between the three suits. So that's when I started to think of this thing, this like digga-doo-doo, like something that you could really animate to.
Kind of visualize too. So you kind of have this visual in your head of like what it would sound and look like at the same time?
Yeah.
So you guys created that sound?
Yeah.
This is awesome to hear, because when I first heard that sound, I was like, oh, it sounds like they just like brought in some like outside trance guy to help produce this thing, this new album, hit the new world.
Compliment.
So this is awesome to hear that you guys are like finding the inspiration and then source from like the outside world, but also with like the things that you're being like, inspired by. I'm loving this. This is awesome to hear.
Well, I mean, a lot of these sounds are in culture now, and that is a big part of the character, is responding to culture around the Blue Man. So,
the commentary of it, Talk me through just how you try, like when you're thinking of how to mix things, what is your process?
Mixing Blue Man music, it's a struggle that's I've found is specific to Blue Man, and that's because a lot of the instruments tend to exist in a sort of a lower mid-range area, like all of the tubes, like a lot of those instruments, the drone instruments, these instruments are the voice of a voiceless character, so they have to be, you would say it's instrumental music, but that's kind of their voice. So I mixed with that in mind so that they have to have space up front to exist.
A huge part of Blue Man Group is live performance, right? So even with mixing in some of these more programmed sounds, you still want it to sound like a human, which is why we don't go into Pro Tools and edit everything so it's perfectly quantized and perfect performances. Like sometimes you need, you know, like I don't think you'll hear glaring mistakes on the record, but there are definitely plenty of mistakes in there that we've left in, loose feel and stuff like that, where it's like, you know, I bet if I quantized that, it wouldn't have that character at all. You know, you want it to feel like a bunch of people playing together.
How has Blue Man influenced your personal sound, or just the way you think of music?
I didn't grow up with a lot of rhythmic training. And when I got into Blue Man, it changed how I played and looked at music completely, because suddenly I was playing with a lot of drummers and a lot of different drummers every night. I miss playing the show for that reason, like the variety of band combinations and Blue Man combinations, and you hear the differences. Even though everyone's playing the same material, you really know who's playing what when you know a cast very well and you're one of them. And that was the thing. I realized how bad my time and rhythm was, you know, when I got the gig. You know, it was like being a teenager again. Like I took a Chapman stick home. I bought a lap steel to try to practice the zither at home, and then I ended up borrowing one when I was first training and really working it out with a metronome, drilling,
We work on such dense sessions here. It's part of the sound. I love working, I love the challenge, but I think I find myself trying to work very fast and limit myself outside of the Blue Man world. You know, if I can do something in 8 tracks, that's great.
What keeps, like, as veterans in this business, really, what keeps you driving and inspired with the music?
I mean, we're really fortunate that we're part of this collective that wants to make new things that people haven't seen, maybe. But even we'll have some specific targeted things like, hey, what's everybody listening to lately? Like, is there anything that we will, as a group, find inspiring? Like, what would the Blue Man angle be on that? Having the character's perspective on anything is instantly inspirational.
The thing with working with Blue Man, the talent in this company and the strive, like, Bill is a great example. Like, he can come down the stairs with something so out to lunch. And that is so inspiring to me, like hearing that as something that makes music, which dovetails back to what gets me excited about music. Like, all of it is very inspiring.
I love hearing when you cover songs or your own stuff because it's stuff that we wouldn't have written on PVC. You know what I mean? It's interesting to hear someone else's take.
I mean, well, thank you. I mean, it's a privilege to hear that. It's cool because it's almost circled around, like seeing the show. That was like the seed for me to be like, I wonder what else could happen with this instrument. I was inspired just to follow on the tails of just what you guys had started as an impulse. Honestly, sometimes just that the playing of the music is just so satisfying in the soul for me that that's what keeps me going too. But it's beautiful to hear you say that too, because it's, again, I'm like just one person in relation to your guys' like huge company of like creatives that it's beautiful to be in this world with you and get an inside look on how it all works.
Yeah, that's great to have you. Absolutely.
High five!
Oh my God! Ah!
Well, that's it for this episode of the Snubby J Blue Man Group Tour. Subscribe to Blue Man Group on YouTube to stay tuned for the next episode. We're taking Kent on a backstage tour at the Astor Place Theater, where it all began for Blue Man Group. You don't want to miss it.